Well, good afternoon, everyone, and thanks for watching THV 11 News at noon. I'm Amanda Yeager. Today isn't as nice as it has been in the past couple of days weather-wise, unfortunately, but that's why we have meteorologist Nathan Scott here joining us this afternoon, talking about a few changes. First here, a look at the forecast. This morning with Scott, we were talking about potential severe weather. What is the latest update on that for today, Nathan?
Amanda, it's going to be a changeable day here in central Arkansas. It's been quiet primarily this morning, but going through the afternoon, showers and storms will develop, and some of these storms could pack a punch. Here is the storm outlook from the Storm Prediction Center, and there is a medium risk of severe weather from Little Rock, Arkadelphia, Searcy, Batesville, and off to the east. So as we go into the next few hours, showers and storms will start to develop right along the Oklahoma-Arkansas border. The good news is we've had a lot of clouds. That's going to cut down on the storm fuel somewhat, but temperatures have warmed up into the upper 60s to lower 70s. Live radar, we've got some showers now making their way through Garland County into Saline County, also Clark County. Storms are starting to develop, though, right along the border of Oklahoma and Arkansas. So here's what one model is forecasting. This is future radar, and this is what radar could look like going into the 1 o'clock hour. Storms start to really develop right through Mena, down through Texarkana, and we'll be watching a line of storms really start to fire up 3, 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock in the metro. So the evening rush could be quite messy with torrential rain, lots of lightning, and also the potential of severe weather. I'll have more on the severe weather concerns and the timing coming up.
All right, thank you, Nathan. Now to a story gaining national news this afternoon. Arkansas lawmakers decide to override Governor Asa Hutchinson's veto of House Bill 1570 as a controversial bill on transgender minors. It bans hormonal and surgical gender-affirming treatments for Arkansans under 18. The ban even applies to minors who are already getting those treatments. Last night, the governor went on Fox News' Tucker Carlson tonight, where he once again voiced his opinion against the bill.
And I made it clear that if this was about prohibiting procedures, sex reassignment surgery, absolutely, I would have signed that bill. But this, again, is the first law in the nation that invokes the state between medical decisions, parents who consent to that, and the decision of the patient. And so this goes way too far. And in fact,
we also have some reaction from those against the bill, as well as lawmakers who support it. That is online on THV11.com. National attention also being focused on voter fraud and voter suppression. The same goes here in Arkansas as well. From shortening the early voting period to expanding voter photo ID restrictions, multiple groups gathered at the state capitol to rally against almost a dozen bills floated around the state legislature recently. Bills they call anti-democracy bills.
I'm the son of an immigrant. My mom came to this country in 1975 to escape martial law in the Philippines and have the right to vote and to elect her own leaders.
The group said these kinds of bills lead to voter suppression, and they're encouraging people to reach out to their legislators in order to stop them. President Biden is calling on all states to make all adults eligible for COVID-19 vaccines by April 19th if they haven't already done so, like here in Arkansas. But even as daily vaccination rates have soared in recent months, new daily cases have started to tick up. Federal health officials say the nation is still at risk of another surge. Natalie Brand reports from the White House.
In less than 2 weeks, President Biden wants all states to make all adults eligible for the COVID-19 vaccine if they haven't already done so. And while getting a vaccine appointment is still a concern in some places, federal health officials stress that is changing.
There was a gap between supply and demand, and literally every day that goes by, if that gap is closing.
The updated vaccine timeline comes as many states have lifted COVID restrictions and daily new cases have started to climb.
This fight isn't over.
In Michigan, which leads the nation in new cases, Governor Gretchen Whitmer got her shot Tuesday. The CDC found the B.1.1.7 variant that originated in the UK accounted for nearly 40% of Michigan's cases last month.
The B.1.1.7 variant is now the most common lineage circulating in the United States.
The Biden administration says it does not plan to mandate a vaccine passport system, but federal health officials say they expect businesses and universities to take action on their own.
They're going to say, we're not going to have you come in unless you get vaccinated. You're not going to see that from a federal government mandate.
At least 8 colleges have already said they'll require vaccinations for students returning to campus this fall. In K through 12 schools, the CDC estimates nearly 80% of teachers and school staff have received at least 1 dose of the vaccine. Natalie Brand, CBS News, the White House.
The CDC says it's hearing reports of clusters of cases across the country associated with daycare centers and youth sports. Hospitals are seeing an increase in younger adults, those in their 30s and 40s, admitted with severe disease. Well, the governor here held his weekly COVID-19 briefing Tuesday, focusing on the need for more Arkansans to get vaccinated against the virus. And THV 11 has been tracking those numbers, so let's take a look at our pie chart here. As of today, 20% of people here ages 16 and up are fully vaccinated. Another 15% still need another shot. That means 64% of the eligible population are not vaccinated yet through a shot. And state health leaders say community spread of the virus is still happening. In the last 24 hours, 163 people in Arkansas have tested positive for the virus. Also, 5 more deaths have been attributed to COVID-19 in the latest report. Researchers at UAMS and Children's Hospital are looking to get more answers into allergic reactions caused by the COVID-19 vaccine. The SARS vaccination trial will look at 2 populations using both the Pfizer and Moderna vaccines, people who are highly allergic and people who have no allergies. To qualify in the highly allergic group, you must have a history of drug, food, or animal allergies and have used an EpiPen in the last 5 years. To qualify in the non-allergic group, you can't have any allergy history.
How often are people going to have allergic reactions? We don't know that yet, but that's what we're trying to figure out. What risk am I really at if I get this vaccine?
To qualify for the study, you must be between 18 and 45 years old and have not received the COVID-19 vaccine yet. If you're interested, we have info on how to sign up at thv11.com. The trial for former Minneapolis police officer charged with the death of George Floyd resuming today. Yesterday's testimony focused on the restraint Derek Chauvin used during the arrest. Naomi Ruckham shows us what's happening inside and outside the courtroom.
As the trial for Derek Chauvin moves into its 8th day, crews have replaced the fence surrounding the Minnesota Capitol building. This one more secure than the fence quickly installed last May when protests escalated. Inside the courtroom, more officers came forward to testify against Chauvin and his actions the day he pinned George Floyd to the pavement for nearly 9.5 minutes.
Sir, is this an MPD trained neck restraint?
No, sir.
Has it ever been?
Not to my neck restraint, no, sir.
Records and court testimony show Chauvin received extensive training on the appropriate use of neck restraints. One instructor told the jury Minneapolis police are taught to stay away from the neck when possible and to restrain with a knee on the back or shoulder if necessary. Another use of force expert testified that Chauvin's actions were excessive.
Once he was placed in the prone position on the ground, they should have slow down or stop their force as well.
Also central to the defense's case, possible testimony from Maurice Hall. Hall, a friend of Floyd's, was sitting in the SUV when officers approached last May. His lawyer says he wants to avoid testifying so he doesn't incriminate himself. Back outside the courthouse.
We get the verdict and we get this conviction, we'll be able to breathe.
Floyd's family and supporters gathered for a prayer vigil as the case presses on. Naomi Ruckham, CBS News.
A total of 9 Minneapolis police officers have now testified against Chauvin, swearing under oath that he went too far. Today, some of the officers who were called to testify yesterday will reappear on the stand for further questioning and cross-examination.